Are we live? Are we live right now? What's going on, everybody? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Randy Bruce. I am an aspiring actor. I'm signed on to Heyman Talent Agency out of Cincinnati. And this is something that I wanted to start doing is I want to start actually recapping, reviewing, talking about not only the movies that I go and see or the TV shows that I watch, but also the experiences that I have on set and just kind of share the ins and outs of the business. And because it's something that I'm passionate about. So I finally, I had this StreamYard set up and everything for my Survivor podcast. This is the only time I'm going to shout it out. Go check out Survivor Now, the Survivor Now podcast. But with all this equipment, I have my camera, I have my microphone, I have my ring light, I have, the ability to go live. I'm like, why do I not talk about my dream, which is acting and cinema and television? And so this is something that I'm going to start doing. I'm going to try to start uploading an episode once every week or so. We're gonna test it out. We're gonna eventually get a schedule. I'm gonna be having some guests come on the show. I know my brother is big into movies. He might come on to talk about a movie with me. My best friend Christian might come on. My friend Rodney might come on. Maybe my friend Juan might come on. So we'll have different guests. Maybe we'll get some people from some of my favorite podcasts, like the Escape Pod podcast or Duck Takes. So there's just so many different directions that this could go. And I thank you guys for being here. So while you guys listen to this or watch it on YouTube, however you're viewing this, if you enjoy it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, which is just my channel. I understand that. Just Randy Bruce on YouTube. Or if you're listening on Spotify, leave me a rating. I greatly appreciate it. While it's just me right now, the overall, title of the podcast is Cinema Flash. So how I got Cinema Flash is just, I don't know. I'm really big into making logos and stuff. So I found these cute little guys, this popcorn container, and it's a bag of popcorn essentially, and a soda, and they look so cute. And the first thing that popped into my head were these little guys going Cinema Flash. And so I recorded that. And that's going to be the official name of the podcast. So if you're listening to this on Spotify or if you're watching on YouTube and you're wondering where to find it, check out Cinema Flash on Spotify. So I think, I got all of that out of the way within 3 minutes here. So now we can actually talk about the reason that I'm here and what we're talking about today. And that is how I spent my Halloween. I hope all of you guys had an incredible Halloween, however you spent it, whether you guys were out with your kids trick-or-treating or whether you stayed home and you were passing out candy. I live in an apartment complex, so I couldn't have done any of that. So instead, I've been home with the flu this week and it's been really kicking my butt. Like today's the first day that I actually feel like pretty good. I still feel a little nauseous, but outside of that, for the most part, I'm feeling incredible. And so yesterday I was still taking it easy and I'm like, how do I want to spend my Halloween? Like I have a lot of friends going out to the bars and Halloween parties. And I'm like, I'm still sick to do that. Funny thing is I actually have a Halloween party tonight to go to. So it's a little late. It's a November 1st Halloween party. But it's going to be a lot of fun to actually get out of the house. But yesterday I was like, what if I just stay in and have a movie marathon? And something about me, as much as I love watching movies, I didn't start watching movies until about 2017. Even though I was already doing acting and stuff, I didn't have the attention span to sit and watch a movie for hours. You guys know some of these movies go on for 3.5 hours, and I don't have the attention span or the bladder to sit and actually enjoy the bladder control, I should say, to sit and enjoy these movies. And I've never been someone who, even though I love watching movies now, I might go to the theater and do a double header, but I've never been someone who can sit down and watch 4 or 5 movies in a row and do a complete movie marathon. And I'm still not that person, but yesterday I was like, let me see if I can actually have a Halloween movie marathon. And that's what I did. I started, granted, with me being sick. I didn't get up until I'd say probably about 10 or 11. And then you had to have your breakfast, your brunch, your lunch, whatever you want to call it. And then around 12:30, I started watching movies. And I posted on Snapchat for all my friends. I was like, tell me what horror movies I should check out. Tell me which horror movies I should watch. Didn't end up watching any of them. I ended up just picking my own. But I ended up watching 3 horror movies. So the 3 that I watched, it started at 12:30. And I started with Terrifier 2. Now, I just saw Terrifier 3 in theaters. And I've really enjoyed the Terrifier. Okay. I can't even say I've enjoyed the Terrifier franchise because the first one I thought was really slow. And I love gory movies. Love them. Like Saw is my movie, my franchise, my horror franchise that I go back to every single Halloween. Love gory movies. I love the new Smile movies. Like I just saw Smile 2 in theaters. And so I love gory movies, but Terrifier 1, and we'll get more into what my thoughts when I start talking about Terrifier 2. Terrifier 1 wasn't my favorite. Terrifier 3 I thought was fantastic. And then I was like, I have to go back and watch Terrifier 2, which I had never seen. Like to understand, to comprehend what is going on right now in Terrifier 3, you need to see Terrifier 2. So I started off with that. And then after watching Terrifier 2, like I said, I didn't start watching movies until about 2017. So there's a lot of classic films that I've never watched. And so I've never seen the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I know, crazy. With this podcast, you guys are going to hear so many movies that I've never seen, and it's going to blow your mind. There's so many classics that I have to go out and watch because so many people give me shit about, oh my gosh, you want to be an actor, but you've never seen this movie? Yeah, I know. Like, oh my gosh, what are you doing, man? I'm like, I know. You look at movies like Good Will Hunting. I've never seen any of the Godfather movies. I know it's crazy. I've never seen any of the John Wick movies, any of the Fast and the Furious movies. I know. I've never seen, oh my gosh, I just had it. I haven't seen The Matrix. I've never seen The Matrix. There's so many good movies that I need to go back and watch. And I'm hoping with this, now that I'm actually talking about it, it'll make me want to go back and watch them more. But with that being said, I saw the first Nightmare on Elm Street not too long ago. I watched it for the first time, I want to say 3 weeks ago. And so I decided with the second movie, I was going to watch A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. And we'll get to that. And then finally, to end the night, I was going to watch, what's it called? Sinister. I've never seen the Sinister movies, and I had several friends reach out and say I need to watch those. I ended up just getting super tired and talking to a friend over FaceTime. But I ended up watching The Wicker Man, the 2006 adaptation with Nicolas Cage, which I have a hot take opinion about. I'm just going to put it out there right now. So what I wanted to do for my first stream is I was like, let's get together and let's talk about these 3 movies that I watched for Halloween. And 3 very different movies. You have Terrifier 2 that came out in 2017, I believe. No, it wasn't 2017, 2022. Excuse me. So Terrifier 2 that came out in 2022. You have A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, which came out in 1985. And then you have The Wicker Man, which came out in 2006. So you have 3 different eras of movies. You have, early 2000s. You have the recent 2020s with the 2022 release of Terrifier 2. And then you have 80s horror, which you have to... I feel like every year on Halloween, you have to watch an 80s horror film because they're just built different. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's get into this. Let's get right into talking now that I've got the intro out of the way and the explanation of why I'm here and why we're talking and what this show is going to be all about. Terrifier 2. So when I first saw Terrifier 1, I was very tired, but I was in Atlanta on a spring break vacation, and all of my friends wanted to watch a horror film, and Terrifier was the film that they decided to watch. And so that was my introduction to Art the Clown and this franchise, which obviously Terrifier 1 did not have the biggest budget, and everything was filmed in a way in one location that made the film pretty easy. You could focus on the gore and stuff. And while the gore, the traps, the kills were very Terrifier-esque and very good, I still felt like the acting outside of, I have IMDb pulled up just because I'm so bad with names. Like, so many people can pull names right out of their head, and I can't do it. Outside of David Howard Thornton, who is absolutely fantastic as Art the Clown and has made Art the Clown into a modern day monster idol. If I say it, that's a phrase right there, but try saying that like 5 times fast. Modern day monster idol. Icon. Icon is the word I was looking for. Oh my gosh. I'm like, idol. I know it starts, that's not the word I'm looking for, but I know it starts with an I. He's turned Art the Clown into a horror icon. I think he's to that point. But the acting in the first one wasn't that great, and I'm always looking at that when I watch a movie. I'm like, it's obviously low budget. They're trying to get their start. Terrifier 3, jumping ahead, the movie that I just saw in movie theaters not too long ago. I saw actually Terrifier 3. I saw it October 15th because I have my Letterboxd pulled up too. By the way, check out my Letterboxd link in the description below. Go ahead and give me a follow. Terrifier 3, I loved it. I love the Christmas feel of it. I'm a Christmas sucker, so anything that you put on during Christmas time, I'm going to fall in love with. I thought the themes were great. I thought the story was great. I thought this had the best acting out of the 2 Terrifier movies that I've seen by a mile. The kills were insane. It's one that I wish I could already own on Blu-ray so I could go back and I could watch it right now. Like, I wish I could have watched Terrifier 3 yesterday. I really do. I mean, I could have went back to the theater, but you get what I'm saying in a sense. Terrifier 2. Obviously, we're being introduced to Sienna. Sorry, I saw the actress's name. We're being introduced to Sienna for the first time. We're being introduced to Jonathan for the first time. We also have Art the Clown's like little sidekick that totally got lost in the 3rd movie. And I only knew about her. I'm talking about like the little girl. I only knew about her from my brother because after we saw Terrifier 3 together, he said they totally cut a character from the film. Like, Terrifier had this little girl that completely disappeared. Now, granted, she was replaced in a way. I don't want to really spoil anything. Terrifier 2, at times I could feel the acting still wasn't great. And I found myself, and I hate saying this, and I need to start, I already told you my attention span is awful. I need to start turning my phone off whenever I watch a movie at home. I immediately, not immediately, but about midway through the film, started getting on my phone. And I found myself with it ended up being more of a film in the background while I'm on my phone kind of looking up whenever a kill or something happened. I just felt like the story had a weird pacing. And I know a lot of people loved the Clown Cafe, which I did enjoy. I was after hearing about it, like I saw Terrifier 3, and I kept hearing everyone reference like all the podcasts that I listened to, the Clown Cafe. So I was expecting this to be something super big. Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what this Clown Cafe is all about. And I was a little disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it was obviously a fun location. Do I wish we saw it in Terrifier 3? Yeah, a little bit. But I think the hype that I heard around the Clown Cafe just kind of mellowed it out to the point of like it wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. David Howard Thornton was fantastic again as Art the Clown. Best part of the movie for sure. Some of those kills. Anytime that Art the Clown like peels someone's head, like scalp apart, it's going to get me. And there were some funny moments throughout, like using the mom's head as a candy bowl. And the kids are like, why is it so sticky? Funny part. There were some disturbing parts, like when he first meets his little sidekick, the little girl, and I just unleashes stuff on the ground. I'll say it like that. There were times that I was like feeling sick because I was still dealing with the side effects of the flu. And I was like, ooh, am I going to throw up? Like, am I going to be one of those people in Australia that throws up? I like how it ended, knowing now, I went to the theater to see Terrifier 3, and Terrifier 3 picks up right where Terrifier 2 left off. And I really want to rewatch Terrifier 3 now because I've seen 2. I know the characters a little bit more. I know what happens with the characters. So I feel like it would be an entirely different experience now going back and watching the third film. So for me, the pacing was off and I felt very bored throughout this one. It got to the point where I'm like, okay, can we wrap this up, please? And I thought some of the stuff in the ending battle were a little bit cheesy. I don't even want to get into the tank scene where, yeah. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I gave it on Letterboxd 2 out of 5 stars. I thought it was, I'm not going to go back to it actively. The only time I'm going to rewatch it is if I decide to do a full Terrifier rewatch. But if I had to rank the Terrifier movies right now, the best one is the third one. The Christmas feel to it, the kills, the story, the characters get a little bit better in terms of character development. I would put Terrifier 3 first. Second, I would put the second one because the first one still feels like a group of college kids put it together. It's very low budget. And then I would put the first one. So I would rank it just like that. 3, 2, 1. And we all know they're making a fourth one. So I hope the fourth one, which is supposed to dive into Art's background a little bit more, I'm very excited and I'm very intrigued for that one. After Terrifier 2, I watched A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. It's weird because I gave this the exact same rating as Terrifier 2, but I should go back and change it. I didn't like it. There's something, okay. I'm going to lose a lot of people watching right here. I understand like these 1980s films, 1970s, 90s, like films back then are like, they're looked at as like the best movies ever made. A lot of times classic movies to me bore me because they don't have the production value that they have nowadays. And I told you I didn't start watching movies until 2017. So I love cinema today. I love the over-the-top CGI. I love how when you're watching a movie, it literally feels like every single world, wherever the movie is taking place at, the setting is real. It feels like they actually transported to a different dimension to film these movies, where back in the day, the acting feels cheesy. It doesn't look good. And I'm more of a critic to these types of movies. And A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. What is it averaging? On Letterboxd, it's averaging a 2.8. On IMDb, it's averaging, it's got a 5.5 out of 10. So people are very one way, 50-50, one way or another on this film. Look, I like the first one for the fact that Freddy feeds on your dreams. This one, I felt like they got away from that with Freddy. What was this character's name? They got it to where Freddy possessed Jesse. And Jesse was like, Freddy was using Jesse's body as a means to commit these violent and gruesome murders. And I feel like they got away from what A Nightmare on Elm Street is all about, in the sense of he attacks you when you're sleeping. He attacks you in your dreams. You got to be scared of him. So I felt like they took a big swing, and for me, it just did not hit. I did enjoy some of the moments. Like, I thought the pool party scene was was pretty cool, where the dad, or pretty funny, where the dad comes out with the shotgun, and Lisa's there to kind of like save him from shooting Jesse, obviously trying to save him. This is one I do want to rewatch because, again, I was kind of on my phone throughout, not gonna lie. So I'm sure I missed a key component or two. Oh, the opening scene, the bus scene, I think is way better than the opening scene to the original. I love the bus scene. I have it on my letterbox as like the backdrop. Yeah, sorry, it's a little difficult to see. It's not going to focus. I love that opening bus scene. I actually, the way it ended, I wasn't the biggest fan of. I think they should have had a nice little wrap up to how the story ended. But I ended up giving the movie a 2 out of 5. Again, it was 2 for me is like, it's a movie. I'm not going to go back to it. It's not horrific, but it's not good. So again, much like Terrifier 2, I would only go back to watch this movie if I'm doing a full watch through of A Nightmare on Elm Street, like the entire franchise. I'm not going to actively be like, ooh, I want to go back and watch A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. And then I took a little break. I'm going to go ahead and shout them out, but I watched the Halloween podcast from Duck Takes. Go check those guys out. They run the best movie podcasts. They also had a fellow on from the Escape Pod podcast, which is another fantastic movie podcast. So go check them out. But I took a break to watch them. And then after that, I wrapped up my night. It was probably like 6 or 7. Yes, I'm an old man. I went to bed pretty early. I went to bed at like 9. But I watched The Wicker Man. And this is a movie that I've been hearing about. I've had a lot of people that I follow who have been going back to like rewatch this, and I've never seen it. And I was just scrolling to see like, what's the last horror movie, Halloween, thriller, whatever, however you want to look at it. What's the last movie that I want to watch? And I found this one, and I'm like, okay, okay. I said, okay. Yeah, we're gonna roll with that. This looks interesting. I want to watch this, and I want to see this. It stars Nicolas Cage. Who else was in this movie? So it stars Nicolas Cage, Ellen Burstyn, Lily Sobieski. I'm going to butcher these names because I told you guys I'm literally the worst person with names. This is my hot take. It's averaging on IMDb a 3.8 out of 10. That's horrific. On Letterboxd, it's averaging a 1.9 out of 5. Hold on, I'm going to type here. I am so interested. What did the movie get on Rotten Tomatoes? It got an audience score of 50. Yeah, because the 1973 edition got an audience score of 91%. The Wicker Man got an audience score of 15%. You guys are crazy. This was the best movie I saw all day long. This is the best movie I watched on Halloween. I gave it 4.5 out of 5. It was way better than Terrifier 2. It was way better than A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. The Wicker Man, it's one of those movies that makes you think throughout the entire movie. Like it's almost like a headache. It's like, what is going on? And you try to wrap your head around like what's actually taking place and the twist. Now, maybe people are giving it a bad review because I'm sure this is based on a book and it's not the original. There was another Wicker Man that came out. What did I say? 1973. There's another movie. So this is a remake. So maybe people saw the original and they loved it because it has a 91% on Rotten Tomato, 82% popcorn meter. Maybe people watched the original and then watched this one and compared the two and they said, wow, that is shite. Or maybe they read the book and they changed something that people didn't like and they were like, wow, that is shite. I have not read the book, if there is a book. I have not seen the 1973 original. So I was going into this completely blind. And I loved it. I absolutely love it. How many people on Letterboxd? 263 people on Letterboxd gave it 4.5, which is what I gave it. That is the least rated that people have been giving it. In comparison, so 263 people gave it a 4.5. 11.2K gave it a 1 star. So this is one of my hottest takes, but I loved this movie. I love the twist ending. I love how they wrapped it up even after the ending, like not the after credit scene, but kind of like, ooh, the story will continue. My favorite scene was when he barged into the school and he's confronting the children and the teacher about like, who this girl is. I really enjoyed this movie. And I feel like this is a movie that you go back to, and every single time that you rewatch it, you notice something that you didn't notice the first time. And I love those types of films. Y'all are crazy for hating on this movie. I thought Nicolas Cage was absolutely phenomenal in his role. What was his character's name? If my computer works here. Edward, yeah. I thought Nicolas Cage absolutely killed this role. And I keep liking Nicolas Cage in all these movies. I know Nicolas Cage has kind of ended up becoming a joke in a lot of sense, but I loved it. You guys are crazy. Yeah, this is definitely, I'm going to make this moment into a TikTok reel because how can you hate that movie? I don't get it. But yeah, so I had a nice Halloween. I watched those 3 horror movies, and now we enter the month of November where there's some incredible movies coming out. You got Gladiator 2. I need to go ahead and watch Gladiator 1 before the new one. Yes, another classic movie that I've never seen. You have Wicked coming out on November 22nd. I cannot wait for this movie. When I tell you guys, this is other than Dune 2, which is still listed on Letterboxd. Check out the link in the bio or description. Outside of Dune 2, which is still my favorite movie of the year, this is my most anticipated movie. I am so excited to watch Wicked. And then you have Red 1 coming out, which I'll probably go see it, but I don't have high hopes for it. I really don't. Oh, you also have that new, what's the movie Timothée Chalamet is going to be in? It's the new Bob Dylan movie. That looks good. That could be a sleeper for winning my best movie of the year. And we'll do a video at the end of the year talking about like top 10 best and worst movies. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is something, like I said, I want to do at least like 1 episode a week, or at the very worst, 1 episode every 2 weeks. Eventually I'll get my brother on and Christian on too, and some of my other friends to discuss movies with me. So it's not just me doing a solo podcast, but I'm not here solo. I feel like I'm talking to you guys every time I look into the camera. So this was fun. Again, if you enjoyed this and you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow, leave us a rating. Why am I saying us? It's just me right now. I'm used to doing my Survivor podcast where there's like a whole crew. But yeah, go ahead, leave a rating, follow the podcast. Would really appreciate it. If you watch this on YouTube, hit that like button, like share it, help the video get out there, and subscribe to my channel for even more movie content. But I will catch you guys on the flip side of the cinema.